hat. These hats are in my apothecary, just so you know. Hi, Eclectic Goddess. Thanks for joining. Hi, Carolyn, Cecilia, Claudia, Shelly. So depending on how we perceive change, again, we're changing that. If it's bad, we always resist change, that we are welcoming change. So the thing is a lot of times we're making vision boards, we're dreaming of what our future could be, while we also, I do have gray hats, Marjorie. Do you want to, I haven't steamed them yet, but you probably got off the live the other day. It looks like a flower top right now because I haven't steamed it, but this is the gray hat. Sorry, I dropped my cards. See, when you don't steam and you just get them in the box, this is what they look like, kind of like a flower top. But I really like the gray. Is there a way I can put this on that it won't? Let's see if that will work. There's the gray. Yeah, if you guys want these, they are in my apothecary. I love the gray, isn't it beautiful? All right, so back to change in the new year. We have a lot of change coming up in the next few years. I mean, this entire 10-year span, I feel like from 2020, maybe 9 years, to 2029, I remember in 2020 looking at it and saying, wow, we're in for it, and through 2029. So this 10-year span, as we shift into, we're bridging the age of Aquarius, it's gonna be change. Every single year there is going to be change. But if we perceive change as bad and we dig our claws in and dig our heels in and are pushing back as everything in the universe is trying to pull us forward, how will we experience that change? We're going to experience it as rough, as a hard thing, but change is a blessing. If change never happened, witches would still be being burned at the stake. Right? So we need to look back at, historically, we need to hang on to some things that we're actually not hanging on to, things that we haven't been taught as a collective. And then there are things that we need to let go of and open up to a new way. So 9 years numerically bring in this time of change through endings and new beginnings. So if we can see these different phases in our lives as seasons, like seasons in the wheel of the year, like the witch lives by the wheel of the year, we have to live our entire life through that same lens. Like, oh, summer is on its way out and fall is coming. I love fall. I love the orange colors. Rather than saying, I'm a summer person, I just want it to be summer year round. That's a very masculine approach. The feminine approach is mirroring what our planet is doing. So we're going to be asked, we're going to be called to create some healthy boundaries with people and circumstances that have not been the best for us. So keep your mind open to perceiving what that is. And we're starting out this year with a deep dive with Venus and Pisces. So we're being asked to do some shadow work here, to have compassion for ourselves, to have compassion for the world around us, and to understand. And yet, even though we have that compassion and that understanding, it doesn't mean we give ourselves away to this other person or other circumstance, right? Shadow work is not meant to disempower you. Shadow work is meant to empower you. And it empowers you to have this compassion for yourself, where you came from, how far you've come, and where you will yet to go. Hi, Seth. So where are we going in this next year? We are still in the winter portal. So even though in the Gregorian calendar, this is the time where everybody's returning to the gym, setting goals, it's really like we're not supposed to be taking action on those things yet. We are still in this journey, this inward journey with the earth. We're still in the winter portal. We have the hope of the sun's return. Yes, we are on our way to spring, where everything will lighten up and action will take place again. But if we start to try to take action before, like if we're trying to jump the gun, right? If we're trying to jump the gun, we're not going to make it where we're going. So this is a time for turning inward. And, you know, in a lot of the teachings I've received, January is a time during this moon phase where we are to be mending our tools, mending our sacred divinatory tools. So if your hat needs stitching, stitching up your hat. And, you know, maybe your wand needs some spiffing up. Maybe your brooms need some cleaning up and some tending to. And while you're tending to these creative processes, you're on an inward journey. So it's a quiet process as you are, you know, maybe you have, I was gonna grab one of my brooms. You know, maybe you have your broom and you're sitting here, and as you're mending this and you're pulling threads together and you're cleaning these off, it's like it's almost a meditative process where you're going inward, and it allows those final bits of shadow to come to the surface, and for us to have this beautiful compassion for ourselves that extends to others. But it also allows us to dream. So January is for dreaming. And, you know, from the oldest of shamans, we know that dreaming our reality in is how we create this magic. So we need to be turning inward, right? This morning I was going slow. I started my live late. But I was just allowing myself to be in the flow with what was present. You know, my cat is just like talking to me from the hallway. I don't know if you guys can hear her. Ginger, what do you want? Ginger, come here. I don't know if you guys could hear her. She was meowing her head off. You couldn't tell if it was your house or mine. That's funny. No, I'm not a Satanist. There is no Satan in the craft. There is no devil in the craft. So for those of you that are listening that are not witches, the devil is a Christian concept. The Bible and all of the stories therein are Christian-based mythology. So as a witch, we believe more in pagan mythology and Greek mythology than we do Christian mythology. So there's a lot of misunderstanding around who a witch is and what she or they do. And I promise you, yes, of course, there's going to be people that, you know, mix up what they're doing. There's a lot of pop culture witchcraft out there. So you're gonna see people who say, you know, being a witch is this or being a witch is that. I have been an out of the broom closet witch for 21 years. And I'm telling you, there is no devil in the craft. There's no hell in the craft other than the goddess Hel, the deity Hel. So yes, before there was an actual place called Hell, there was a deity, an underworld goddess whose name was Hel. So there are all these facts from the old that need to be brought forward before we integrate, or as we're integrating the new. And then we need to wipe out the old that is disempowering. So the old that is disempowering is patriarchy, is oppression of people of color, oppression of women. You know, there's so much that needs to be wiped out, but us as a collective, if we resist change, if we resist seeing other people's perspectives, thank you, we're going to experience these 10 years, you know, this bridging of a new age as being really difficult. When actually, especially if you're identifying as a witch, you were born for this. You were born for this day and age. You were born to be here now. You were born to be different so that you could show humanity what different looks like. That different, it can actually be beautiful. That actually some of these old ways are not ways that are helping us. So let me pull a card here. The bridge is currently under construction, so things are going to be messy for a little bit. You know, the thing is before we entered what I would say is the age of Aquarius, like, I mean, we're at the bridge, we're here, we're in the age of Aquarius, but we're still bridging consciousness. So when I'm talking about bridging, I'm talking about bridging the consciousness from being in a codependent consciousness to a sovereign consciousness. And what's interesting about that is before we actually moved into what was considered the age of Aquarius, there was this, all of a sudden, this push. You know how certain words become buzzwords? Like all of a sudden we hear everyone's a narcissist. It's like, who the heck is actually a narcissist when everybody's out there pointing a finger? You're a narcissist, you're a narcissist. Like these words become buzzwords and everyone uses them, and the word loses its what it actually meant, because now humanity is just using it for anyone that's a bit selfish. Now, the same thing goes for the word witch. That's kind of starting to happen right now with witch. It's like, because the witch is so becoming so mainstream, so pop culture, the witch is actually losing her or their depth. What does it mean to be a witch? No one actually knows. We think it's about playing with crystals and tarot cards, and it's so much more than that. We think it's about seeing a spell on TikTok and replicating it, right? But as we bridged, before we entered this bridge of consciousness, what became a pop culture buzz phrase was that we are going from 3D to 5D. And I myself, I know not everybody in the spiritual community agrees with me on this, but I find this so toxic. And yet it was looked at as a good thing. We're hopping timelines. We're hopping from 3D to 5D. Now, what does the hopping from 3D to 5D look like? And follow me on this. So if 3D is the physical world, right? And that is the dimension that humans, to some extent, we are, no matter what, going to be living in a 3D world because we chose to come into this earth life and experience an earth experience, having a body, being a soul inside of a body, experiencing food, experiencing relationships, experiencing senses that we don't always experience in the other realms. Now, why I say this is toxic is because if you look at the 3D realm being like here, dear, here down energetically, and we skip to 5D, 5D is here up, right? So what are we skipping right over? We're skipping over the freaking heart, you guys. And so we seen that collectively. It was like so many people were speaking this word, well-intended, like so many well-intended, like beautiful thought leaders and stuff were using this phrase. Like I even was like, yes, we have to shift consciousness. And then all of a sudden, one day, you know, I was using that terminology myself, and spirit was like, hey, harmony. Like, Why on earth are you not looking around and seeing what's happening in the world right now? When we switch to 5D without integrating the heart, without addressing the heart, we have a bunch of people word vomiting trauma all over the planet, all over the internet, everywhere, because the heart wasn't integrated. And I'm probably the only one out there saying this right now. And like I said, other thought leaders would probably argue this because they believe we just need to go to 5D. 4D is the heart. How can we skip the heart? Our grief, our inner child, their pain is in the heart. If we don't address the heart, and we are rooted in this reality and say, I'm going to skip the heart and come to the upper realms, then we're going to see people spewing toxicity everywhere. And that is what I am witnessing. And as a channel, this is what came through to me. And so since that came through to me, I will not use those terms like that we are going from 3D to 5D, because I believe the anchoring of being in the heart is the bridging of consciousness. Allowing ourselves, instead of resisting feeling, right? Our heart is our soul's wisdom. Why are we going to skip over this? We do not need to skip over the heart. And that's why we're starting this year of change with these astrological movements that are pulling us inward to feel empathy, to feel compassion. Because when we don't take that time to do the shadow work, we are grasping at everything, saying it's ours, trying to hold on to it. This is mine, you can't do that. This is mine, you can't do that. Mine, mine, mine. And that's not what this is about. Yes, there are things that are traditional to certain cultures, and we need to look at that. Why are we trying to grasp onto things and change them? Because that is the society that we came from. That is what was bred into our DNA. When we had the conversion of pagan Europe happen, it was you either convert to Christianity or you die, or you're killed. That's what they did. And as that process happened, they appropriated everything pagan. They took all of the pagan holidays from Yule to Imbolc to Ostara and made them all theirs. They turned winter solstice into Christmas. They turned Imbolc into Candlemas. They turned spring equinox into Easter. They took everything and changed it, right? And so that's what we're seeing people do. Now, that being said, we need to slow our roll, because there are a lot of these cultures that practice things that are very similar to other cultures. I have a Native American witch mentor. She's taught me a lot about the use of sage. She has also taught me, as she is also a witch, not just Native American, she speaks the language of her community, everything. She says, there is also, the witches used sage. Now, they did not use it in the term smudging. As she says, there's not even a word for smudging. Like, they, in their language, don't call it smudging when they do a cleanse. But the American English word for what they're doing is smudging. And that is actually a close practice. It is a sacred ceremony to the Native Americans, right? The way a witch used sage was usually in tinctures and in medicine. If you've seen a witch doing a smoke cleanse, it was usually done with mugwort, juniper, or something of this sort. Now, in the Celtic or European word for doing a smoke type cleanse to clear an area is called seining. And the thing is, you know, people will come onto my page and see us using smoke, using bundles of mugwort, and they will be like, yeah, I liked what you were doing until I seen you appropriating Native American stuff. Unfollow right now. And I'm like, okay, unfollow me. Don't even give me a chance to explain something. And so when I'm talking about not bridging the heart and everybody's just spewing stuff out there, that's what I'm talking about. Give people a chance to express their truth. You know, my mentor that I'm talking about, she says that she believes in not pushing back against other people that have different beliefs than you, allowing for us to live in harmony with all other cultures. I have the gray hat in the apothecary on my website, you guys, if you want to look at it, that we need to turn to the people like the Native American people who carry the wisdom of the earth, but also to turn to the witches that really have the wisdom of the witch. Not to the pop culture witches, not to the witches that are just jumping on the bandwagon because this is what's popular next, so I'm going to call myself a witch. You need to find the people to follow who this is what they eat, breathe, and live. Because as someone with white skin, there probably is a lot out there for you to dive into, that maybe that's why it's calling to you when you see someone using the smoke cleanse, is because there is a way for you to be doing it. It's not the way that the Native Americans do it. We shouldn't even really be calling it smudging. So like if you look in my apothecary, I have bundles of herbs. This one is actually mugwort. You can use these bundles, and when you see me burning smoke with bundles on my page in my videos, I am using a plant bundle, and this is traditional to witches. Now the seining practice is an X or a cross. Now I don't use the cross because the cross is too connected to Christianity to me, and I believe Christianity came in and appropriated the seining practice and changed it from the X to the cross. Now that's just my thought process. You know, a lot of this stuff we can't prove the witch's wisdom, and it's actually very sad. And the reason we can't prove it is because during the conversion of pagan Europe, when they shifted, when they manipulated the Bible to remove all of the feminine, they actually burned the libraries of everything that was old. And there were, during wars and battles, a lot of the pagan history that was lost. And so we only have what was passed down through word of mouth, hidden through the shadows. And all we can do is look back at this Bible, who people are preaching is the word of God, the truth. And it's like, I just have a question for you. If this is the truth, why did they have to go through and manipulate it? Why did they have to go through and remove the Divine Mother? We'll never know what was exactly in there. And I also want to point out that, you know, the witches' deities. As a witch, I believe in deities. I don't consider myself pagan. I have a lot of pagan beliefs. However, I don't consider myself 100% pagan. Because I see the deities as archetypes, I don't believe all of them are actual people. I believe a lot of them were people, and they were actually people that walked the earth, and their identity became distorted. Now, what we have to remember when we're looking at mythology, whether it's Greek mythology, pagan mythology, is that, or Christian mythology, because the Christian's Bible is mythology, you guys. Noah didn't build an ark and put 2 lions and 2 cows and 2 zebras and 2 chickens on there and go around and float for however many days without any food for those animals and have them not eat each other. You can look at the story and read between the lines that this is mythology, and mythology was created during the pagan times, meaning when I say pagan, before Christianity, when there was a honoring of the earth. They used mythology, I want to say, to control the people, but it's not to control the people, although now it's been used to control the people. The mythology that was out there from the Bible was actually, and from before then, was used to help people understand their planet. So do I believe Noah's Ark happened? Like, I do believe there was probably a flood somewhere and they built a boat and they probably did take their animals. Do I believe they took the animals 2 by 2, a lion and a zebra and a chicken, and they all of a sudden got along? No, I don't believe that. I believe that is a story to a lion and a zebra and a chicken, and they all of a sudden got along. No, I don't believe that. I believe that is a story in mythology that has been passed down because that's what we see in the Bible. Is there some truth buried in that story? Probably. Is there truth hidden within the stories of Hecate? Yes. And that's why you'll hear witches like myself. There are some witches out there who are connecting the deity, the goddess, the mother of witches, Hecate, to devil worship, to Satan worship. And this is one reason I'm passionate about showing up, even on days like today in January, where I'm kind of tired and I'm like, I'd rather just be like in my own bubble. But no, there is my passion, my purpose in this world is to bring this wisdom to you. That Hecate, the mother of witches, there is truth in her story. She is a representation of the one divine mother. And that's why when you call her in as an archetype to your practice, it doesn't matter to her if you're calling her Hecate or if you're calling her Isis. If you are honoring that one divine mother that has been oppressed, that has been pushed into the shadows, you're going to get signs. You're going to get huge signs. But if you are calling her in, simultaneously calling in the Christian devil, you are calling in 2 opposing energies, and you're going to get some funky results. Yeah, some things are probably going to happen, and those things may be scary, they may be wonky, I don't know what they will be, but I am here to tell you, Hecate predates the devil. Hecate predates Christianity. Hecate's wisdom has nothing to do with Christianity. The Christians came in and turned Hel, who was a deity and a goddess, into a place. They said, Hecate, meet you at crossroads. Well, so does our devil. Hecate must be the devil if she meets you at the crossroads. The devil meets you at the crossroads and tells you to go the wrong way. You've got a devil on one shoulder and an angel on another shoulder. This is a bunch of baloney. It's okay to be at the crossroads. I'm telling you, it's good to be at the crossroads. That's what we started this live with, is how do you experience change? Do you resist it? If you're resisting it, it's because you are programmed from a patriarchal society that when you get the crossroads, you've got an angel on one road and a devil on the other road. I'm here to tell you, when Hecate meets you at those crossroads, she's going to tell you no matter which road you take, you will always end up where you are meant to be. You may take a harder road, you may take a longer road, but whatever your road, wherever that road takes you, it will still end up in your divine purpose, your divine mission. You will never miss what is meant for you. You may take a little side road and experience something else, but that's what it means to live on a free will planet. Living on a free will planet doesn't mean that you have to, every time you come to a crossroads, you have to make the right choice. You have to make a choice. knowing that you will never, the devil's never going to lead you astray, because there is no devil. They made the devil meet you at those crossroads because that's their duality. That is what you either follow God or you follow the devil. Do you want to be good or do you want to be bad? That's not the way free will works. Free will is you experience your life and you choose. You know, sometimes I feel like as I'm looking at my 50th birthday getting closer, I'm like, damn, do I have enough time? Do I have enough time to complete my mission? Because I feel I have a strong mission and purpose in this life, and it took me so long not to be a witch, because I knew, you know, I came out of the broom closet when I was 28, but it took me until I was in my 40s to start using my voice. And that was a journey within itself. Had I skipped the journey of coming into my heart and feeling everything that had come before, I would not be me. I might be an asshole witch. I might be out here preaching division, and who knows what I would be preaching. But because I forgot about time, and I was where I needed to be in that moment, and I went through the journey of the heart, and there were highs where I felt like I had climbed the mountain, I turned around and I had arrived, and then it all came crashing down again. Like, that's the journey, you guys. We can't resist, we can't skip over the heart. The heart is where we hold our deepest of grief. Like, there, you can even see in 2020 when COVID came about, like, COVID was a sickness, a virus that attacked the lungs. Do you know every body part energetically carries a frequency of pain? Like your liver, if you have liver problems, it's likely you have repressed anger. If you have gallbladder problems, you have repressed anger. If you have lung problems, you have repressed grief. And I am telling you, and I'm one of them, that I am convinced this will be the year I do not get any versions of the COVID, because I have gotten it every year prior. And it took me to the depths. Like, I realized as I was sick, as I was having nightmares every single time, that there was unresolved grief and pain from my childhood that I didn't feel, right? I knew it was there. I had brought it up in my shadow work, but I didn't let myself sit there and cry. But I was so sick in those moments with my lungs that the grief was overflowing. Had I not been willing to sit there and cry with myself, maybe I would have ended up in the hospital, who knows? But as a collective, for that to be the virus that took hold, it speaks to the level of grief that humanity has as a collective, that we need to process, that we need to feel. And it's not just ours, you guys. It's our ancestors. It's what we carried through from our grandmothers and from our mother's grandmother. We have to feel to heal. So we cannot go from 3D to 5D. And if you are attempting it, your message is not going to be as powerful as it could be to 5D. And if you are attempting it, your message is not going to be as powerful as it could be, because you have yet to integrate the heart. You know, if I want to help people heal, if I want to guide people to healing, and I'm afraid of the dark, it's not going to happen. So if you are the change maker, if you are the pattern breaker in your family, you cannot fear the dark. Being brave is developed as we face our fears. You aren't brave because you're afraid of the dark and you go in anyway. You develop courage and bravery as you are going through the darkness. So yes, part of developing courage and bravery is doing it anyway. And I can tell you, I was actually literally afraid of the dark. I never slept in my house alone until I was with the TV off in a dark house until I believe I was 41 when that happened. No, I was 40. And that was a journey. Like, in my younger years, my ex was a fireman, and my daughter and I would be alone for days on end, and when he would go to work, and I would lock ourselves in my room at night with the TV on and all of the lights on, and that's how we would sleep. I was so afraid of the dark until I realized why I was afraid of the dark was because I was taught to fear anything that wasn't happy, that wasn't joy, that wasn't light. And all of everything that was in the dark, it wasn't ghosts and ghouls and demons that were going to harm me, that were outside of me. It was being able, thank you, Mary, to sit in that dark room alone with my pain, without a phone in my hand, without TV, without something to distract me, to just sit with this is what happened to me. And because I didn't heal that, this is the person I became. And then I had to not only experience what happened to me as a child, but all of the toxic things I then proceeded to do that were out of alignment with the person I actually was. So, okay, somebody's asking, can I be a witch if I'm a Mormon? So, you guys, I was raised Mormon, and I wasn't a Mormon. I mean, I don't think that people were surprised. I personally left the church, but I came from a family that was very Mormon. My dad was in the High Council. He was in what you called the stake presidency. Like, my dad was up there. My family was religious. They were into the Mormon church. And I was the kid who, when I was 8 years old, went to get baptized, and they're like, do you believe the church was true? I was like, no, I don't. I didn't get the feeling, but my sister did. Well, get baptized anyway. Your parents believe it. You know, as a young teenager, I was always questioning things like, why did God not like black people one day and then liked them the next day? Like, Mormons were not allowed, the black people were not allowed to hold the priesthood, and then one day they changed that. And I was like, if God knows everything, why did he change his mind? And the answer was, if you are pure of heart, you do not question. And so I grew up feeling like I was never pure of heart. I always knew I was a witch. When I was 5 years old was the first time I remember knowing that I was a witch, looking for a book in the big kids section of the library that was a witch book. And as I got older in high school, I was like, I am such a witch. Like, I felt like all these boys were taking the power out of my friends' hands, out of my hands. Thank you, Margie. So I started hexing and cursing. I went to the library, to the card catalog in this little town I live in, and got all the ingredients, went to my friend's house so we wouldn't get caught at my house, and set her dresser on fire doing that first spell. I think her mother wanted to kill us. And then I learned really quickly that hexing and cursing was not the best thing to do. I actually started having a lot of bad things happen to me. Those hexes and curses, they came to be quick. Like, I was so impressed with myself. I was like, damn, I have the power. I am the most powerful witch alive. It's what I thought. And looking back, like, all of us young teenage girls, as our hormones start to rise, the witch in us is powerful. She is powerful. And that young teen version of our inner child is actually the protector of our innocent young inner child that didn't have someone to protect them. And so she comes out with this rage or this like wall around her that nobody can get through. because she's protecting the little one that maybe things happened to and she wasn't protected. So, or he. You know, most of my work is with the feminine now, so you'll hear me saying she a lot of times. But, you know, I realized that I was experiencing the law of three. What we put out comes back to us times three in the craft. This is one of the laws of the craft. What you put out intentionally comes back to thee times three. And also, with this spell, I do it with harm to none. With harm to none, the spell be done. That is one of the first laws of the craft. So how would you hex or curse anyone without doing harm is what I asked myself. And I decided to stop hexing and cursing because I realized it was coming back to me. I realized that hexing and cursing was a choice. It was an ability of the witch. It's ability of all of us to be able to do bad things. Our choice to do those bad things, to intend to harm another, is patriarchal. To be sovereign is to stand in your own autonomy. That doesn't mean you allow people to hurt you. I learned that along the way, that creating healthy boundaries for yourself is doing no harm to yourself. So if you're allowing someone to harm you, you are allowing that harm to come in. So when I was 28, I got married when I was 17. I had 3 kids. And when I was 28, who is now my ex-husband, came to me and after some therapy and said, I've been cheating on you with 10 different women for over 3 years. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And as I sat there with the I'm done, I realized I was not only done with my marriage, I was done with the Mormon church. So I left the Mormon church and I went to all these other churches in my town and I was like, I don't believe in any of these churches. I don't have anything against them. I just don't believe them. And I decided, I remember the day I told my husband, you know, I've always known I'm a witch. I don't really know what that means. I don't want to be Wiccan, which is the religion of witchcraft, but I'm going to be a witch. And from that day on, I was casting circles in my own backyard when my kids were little. I didn't have them doing it with me. You know, they would watch me outside the window. My kids all had crystals, amethysts in their window because growing up in my home, although we were Mormon, my youngest sister had really strong mediumship abilities. I had prophetic dreams. We were all psychic to some level. And so we joked behind closed doors that we were witches. When I married that first husband at 17, it was really quickly that he was like, you all are witches. Because, I mean, you don't have to live with us very long to realize we know a lot of times before things are going to happen. And because of being raised that way, I feel like that's why in this life, I'm usually not out here reading cards. I'm usually not out here. I have mediumship gifts. I don't put a lot into the mediumship gifts because I don't believe that is my purpose. But I believe by being raised Mormon, I learned that the one thing that was good about that is that just because you know doesn't mean you have to go around and tell everyone you know. Sometimes that inner knowing is just meant for you. So, you know, there is in learning to be a witch, you have to know when to stay silent. And so I will say that by being oppressed in that way, that was the one thing I took from it, you know. And also I learned I wouldn't be who I am today if my soul didn't choose to experience being raised in a Mormon home, being raised in a church, you know, that was very oppressive to women, where men were actually considered exalted, that as a woman, you had to be sealed to a man to make it to heaven. You couldn't just make it there on your own. You had to be sealed. But the men, they held the patriarchal priesthood. They even called it the patriarchal priesthood. they were very outwardly open about being patriarchal. And so as I grew and changed, yoga came into my life in my 30s, and yoga really helped me into the shadow work. It helped me unlock the actual physical disease, the physical ailments that had manifested from me not dealing with childhood trauma and shoving it down. I also learned during that time to have immense compassion for my parents, who only were doing what they thought was best, right? None of us intend to harm our kids. We're just doing the best with what we know. But also, that didn't mean that my truth was their truth anymore. So it's been a journey. Anyone that's coming out of religion has a journey with knowing how to create healthy boundaries for themselves. So yeah, trauma's not a curse. I just seen that come up in the comments. Trauma, if you experience, I have come to this place in my journey, and I know I wouldn't have been there in my 20s, not even in my early 30s, because in my early 30s I had to be pissed off that everything that happened to me, because I never got to be mad. I never even was allowed for my truth to be truth. I still don't talk to my parents anymore over the last 3 years, because I will not take back what I have said about my mother's brother. And it's not even about what my mother's brother did to me, because I had other people do things to me in the church, but I needed to be angry about what people did to me. So if you are in that place, don't feel like you need to be where I am right now. It is okay to be angry for a period of time for what you experienced. And as women, we're so often taught to push down feelings of anger. It's not the good girl to be angry. You're taught to push it down and put on your pretty dress and put on a pretty picture and act like nothing happened and keep it moving. I had to be angry, but I came to this place where I realized my soul chose this. My soul even chose the trauma. And it chose the trauma. I don't know what karma I had that meant I needed to experience that in this life. I believe there's some karma wrapped around it, but I also believe I wouldn't be who I am today had I not experienced those things and had I not pushed them down. And now here I am in a world where most everyone is pushing everything down, and I am here saying, don't push it down. But had I not pushed it down, I wouldn't have experienced what I experienced. I wouldn't have, so it's like I can't curse away or push away or wish away that I wasn't a shitty person in my 20s. I wasn't the best version of myself in my 20s, because had I not been that person, I wouldn't have been able to see what unhealed trauma could turn a person into. Unhealed trauma, unacknowledged, unfelt trauma turns into disease in your body and in your spirit, in your heart. And so when we're talking about humanity shifting levels of consciousness, don't feel like you have to run to the finish line. Don't feel like there is a finish line. You're here for the journey. You're here for to feel the depth that we feel here on this planet. I don't believe we feel when we're on the other side. And that's why we want to come here. We want to experience the depth of feeling that this human body has the capacity to feel. And yet to get through those horrible times, the burning times, we learned to push it down, and that's how we got by. So, myself as a witch, as I rolled into my 40s, I became a yoga teacher. So part of my teaching is sharing yoga, because I believe without yoga, I wouldn't have been able to reach the depths of what was trapped in my body. And I realized the more I did yoga, the more came up, the more memories came up, the more I remembered, and simultaneously, the more psychic I became, the more magical I became, the more powerful of a witch I became. You know, my voice blossomed. I used to be afraid to speak, you guys, so afraid to speak. It was like in 2013, my husband and I won a cruise for this vitamin company we sold vitamins for. And they put us on stage and they held the microphone up to me and said, "What is your name? You know, introduce yourself." And I opened my mouth and went, like, literally nothing came out of my mouth, which was so bizarre, because there was a time in my teenage years where I was so outspoken. And so I've experienced these dualities on this journey of being completely toxic, being completely like spewing stuff out of me that I had no business saying, to being completely shut down and being the fixer and trying to make everyone okay. Ultimately, I realized we all play the role of the savior. We're playing one of three roles to live in this codependent society. And those three roles are the savior, the victim, and the punisher. And the only way we can be sovereign is in any relationship, we need to look at if we are playing one of those roles. Because when we are sovereign, we stop having so much judgment towards other people. We stop expecting other people to live their life the way we think they should live their life. We stop thinking that for us to be okay and live a good life on this planet, we need you to be okay. That's not true. I can live my life just fine over here. That's not true. I can live my life just fine over here. So we need to stop feeling like we need to control everyone else. You know, Lauren, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a subscriber. Thank you to all of you that are subscribers to my channel. You know, there's a lot of, I have Marjorie here today being my moderator. She's my priestess in my coven. I'm so thankful for her. I feel very safe with her here, holding the space of protection. She is my Leo, my lion, my lioness that is showing up to help create this space for me to be able to channel. Thank you for all the gifts, you guys. Anyway, I teach witch classes. I've come to this place where I'm a completely different person than I was 12 years ago. If you knew me 12 years ago, I'm not the same person I am today. I don't even drink anymore. And I don't miss it. And there was a time in my life I had to drink to be out in society, to be out there with people. You know, if I just was so on an inward journey for all of my 30s, it was very hard for me to be out in the world. I was going through a massive dark night of the soul. So now, you know, I was speaking about being afraid of the dark because I was able to sit with my own darkness go through a 10-year dark night of the soul, and doesn't mean I don't still go through those moments, because there's a lot still for me to process. I believe healing is a lifetime journey. There's no end destination, and we've been programmed to believe that we need to have an end destination. But the journey, even if you're taking my courses, like the Way of the Witch course is a year and a day, after that year and a day, you're just starting your journey. Like the year and the day just started your path. So if you're looking to learn more about witchcraft and you're really wanting to practice authentic witchcraft And authentic witchcraft is requiring us in our modern days to do the healing work, so we are not coming out as toxic witches. So we can show the world that the witch is not the green-faced, scary, hexing, cursing, demonic, satanic, like any of these stories humanity's been telling you. That's not who the witch is. It's not. So that's why I have my online courses. I will never DM you for readings, by the way. I know there's a mass amount of scammers out there right now. I never DM you for hats. You can go on my website and buy a hat from me. You can go get this beautiful gray hat. You can go get a black hat, a red hat, a beige hat. I've got lots of colors in there right now. I'm not going to hit you up to buy them though. Thank you. So here I am, you know, I went through this entire journey to learn to not be afraid of the dark so that I could show up and be your guide. And when you're guiding people, you can't be afraid of darkness. If you go to a witch and say, you know, I feel like I have a spirit in my house and I need you to come cleanse my house, bless my house. If that witch gets to your house and says, oh my gosh, you have the evilest spirit of here, I can't even be here. Like, that's not the witch you want to be guiding. If that witch gets to your house and says, oh my gosh, you have the evilest spirit of here, I can't even be here. Like, that's not the witch you want to be guiding you. We want leaders and healers and teachers that have gone toe-to-toe with their own darkness to the extent where they can meet you toe-to-toe with your darkness and not run the other way. Because if we keep running the other way, then we are going to keep perpetuating division on this planet. And any lower level energy that is allowed in anyone's field is only because they have unhealed pain. That doesn't excuse anyone's behavior for doing shitty things or, you know, horrible things, but it's to say that anyone can change if they choose to change. I need a drink of water, actually. So, you know, I thought someone's asking, are you and Stella going to do more live rituals together? Yes, we are. We are actually planning for one the week of Valentine's Day. Not on Valentine's Day, but that week. We are planning a self-love ritual and little ceremony, just like we did on New Year's. So it will be a different spell. It won't be the orange spell, but Stella and I will be coming together. We'll probably be coming together on my page here. Hopefully. I can figure out how to use the live guest thing so it will get us both on the same screen, because last time we tried my page, it wasn't really working. So her and I are working out some kinks, but yes, we are gonna do another live together. Astrid, thank you for being here and helping moderate. Yeah, we were feeling into it, and we know Imbolc is coming, and yet we both felt like the Imbolc wasn't the time, just like Yule wasn't the time. It was New Year's on the Gregorian calendar, and we realized there's a lot of feelings, a lot of energy around Valentine's Day that we as women, and both Stella and I really work with a lot of women, that needs untangling. And so that's what we're here for. We're not necessarily here to do what everyone else is doing or what everyone thinks we should be doing. I hate when I have to drag these puzzle pieces together to prove I'm human or whatever it is. If you guys haven't liked my live, please like my live, share my live, please go follow me. But yes, we are going to be doing a self-love something for Valentine's Day that week. So keep an eye out. We will be advertising it, so this time you have more time to get everything together you'll need. It was so amazing after our New Year's ritual. We got so many pictures. I got them in my coven. People saying that they really liked us coming together and doing that ritual. So we were like, well, let's do it again. You know, we're beginning to we're hoping to hold a retreat together in Salem. And we're not sure when that's going to be because we're just in the beginning stages of that. But we didn't know this was going to happen, but we realized that our energy together creates this palpable energy. Our energy together creates a palpable energy. It's like a potent energy. And we both really have the same mission, like so close. Our missions are so similar. You know, she won a space for free to come to my retreat, although it was not free for her to pay to get over here. It cost her a lot. And I didn't even realize until after the retreat. It wasn't until we were together in Salem that I realized, wow, like it's almost like we moved in unison, and it was really beautiful. And so we really want to create something in Salem, but neither one of us live there. So we're working on that. But until then, we are going to keep coming live together whenever we feel the pull. So keep an eye out. Follow both Spirit Space Collective and I do not sell spells. I see someone is asking that question. I know people have been getting scammed left and right because they're emailing me saying I got scammed. I apologize if you got scammed. It's not me. And I know a lot of people get scammed for $200, and I'm like, dang, I wish all these people were sending me $200, but my purpose on this planet is not to do spells for people. I will teach you how to do your own spells. My purpose, my mission is to empower you so you know you have the power. I'm not here to do it for you. So I never DM anyone, you guys. I will not DM you for a reading. I will not DM you to do spells. I'm sorry. I know that's what you know, some of you are wanting, but it's not my purpose. So I have a link in my bio that goes to a link tree that shows you my website. If you got scammed, I'm sorry you got scammed. I will not pay you back for what you paid some scammer. I believe it even says on my page, like, I do not DM for readings. I don't DM for anything. So please know that. To Ride a Silver Broomstick by Silver Ravenwolf is a great book for beginner witches. If someone DMs you, Jay got DM'd, please block that person. Know that they are a scammer, and the best way to deal with the scammers is to block them. But also, if you see people commenting to them, please, before you block them, go tell those people it's not me. I do find it surprising people still give their money away to these scammers that message you, and they're preying on people who are, you know, people want to be seen. And so from what I've heard, they're sending these messages that are like, oh, I see your light. I have a message for you. And it makes that person feel like, oh, I'm so important that this person sees me and they want to help me. Don't fall for it, you guys. Don't fall for it. If I have a website, any other influencer out there will not be DMing you. Those are all scammers. They're going to send you some fake reading. And it makes me absolutely sick that some people would actually believe that is me, get a reading from that person, and some people are believing those readings are my readings. And I'm telling you 100%, they are not my readings. So If you set up a reading with me, you will go to my website and book it on my website. I don't DM people. I do card readings, and I do mentorships. I have online classes. I have an online coven. I hold women's retreats. We only have one space left for Practical Magic next year, or it's not next year, it's now, this year in 2025. October is the next retreat, and we only have one space left for that. So if you want that space, go get it. I have a virtual coven, but all of that is in my link tree. So if you're wanting to be a part of my witch school, I have 2 different offerings there. Practical Magic for the Solitary Witch, very, very, very beginner, very basic. And then I have the Way of the Witch, and the Way of the Witch is my favorite course. It goes over a year and a day. It gives you everything you need to know. So go check it out. I can't wait for Practical Magic. Yes, I can't wait for it either. I'm so excited that the group of women has all signed up so early, because when there is a full group, then there is an energetic thread that I can connect to and create the experience for you all, because you're all there creating that energy, even though it's... Abigail's here. Hi, Abigail. I knew you were popping in here, but I didn't know your name. Abigail Crow. She is also in my coven, along with Marjorie and Astrid. I think Sarah might have been here earlier. But anyway, you guys, there's not a lot of local covens, you guys. I'm sorry to say it, it's not, but you can keep looking. If you want to be Wiccan, you know, Wicca is all based around covens and having a high priest and a high priestess and following their lineage of magic. The reason I have a virtual coven is because I wanted a coven of solitary witches where nobody has to do anything my way. My only base rule is there's no hexing or cursing or teaching anyone to hex or curse. All of my offerings are for women. I work with women specifically. That is my offering as a priestess. So it's very clear on my website. I want to pull a couple cards for the new year before I get off and go. So I've been sitting here shuffling my cards the entire time. The coven meets virtually through Zoom on all of the Sabbats, and we do spells together. The coven has a WhatsApp where we are in daily contact. The WhatsApp is actually so fun. Anyone, you know, there's a lot of people in there, but there's a good group of them that actually communicate on a daily basis. About spell work, we just added a subgroup for the Witch's Garden. Yeah, the WhatsApp and the live Zoom gatherings are amazing. So we met once live last year, but I mean, I really want to keep it virtual, I believe, because there's not enough covens of solitary witches out there. And, you know, I've heard from so many people on my platform, you know, I need to find my coven. And what you can find is a Wiccan coven, and it's hard to even find those. However, finding a solitary coven that looks like what you're seeing at my retreats, it's, you know, it's going to be like finding a needle in a haystack, unfortunately. But we're growing in numbers, and we're growing together, and, you know, I am excited for all the witches that really have the calling to be learning and growing and showing up for other witches. And I'm seeing that in my virtual coven. But I did want to pull a few cards. All right, I just flipped a card out that is Know Yourself. So we're going to start with that card because I just wanted to pull a few cards for the new year. It is part of my practice to, and I did this yesterday, every new year I pull a spread for the new year, and in my journal I write down all the cards and their meanings, and I return to it throughout the year. So what's interesting is last year I started the new year out. I did this on a podcast I was on, and I got walking away. And I did end up walking away from a lot of things last year. So I'm pulling right now, know yourself. So as you're going through these changes this year, remember, you are learning yourself in a new way. If you look at this image, you know, she's got all this green growing from her, and it's about to know yourself. You must know the earth. You must return to the earth and know yourself as the earth. To know yourself through the eyes of an animal, to know yourself through the eyes of the changing seasons. So remember that as things change and these situations come into your life this year, it is so you can know yourself better. All of these circumstances are for you. They're not for anyone else. If the lesson keeps returning, there's something you're not getting. There's something you're not acknowledging or learning about yourself. So that's the first one. I'm going to pull 3 for us to leave you with that message today. And then I'm going to go get my hair done today. I actually have really, really naturally curly hair. It's like corkscrew curly, and I get a Brazilian blowout every few months to calm it down so that when I curl it, it looks nice and it's not crazy frizzy. So I have an appointment for that this afternoon. All right, we're stopping here. The next card is tell your story. Tell your story. The more you tell your story, the life you've lived, the more you are going to see what you should see mine right now. What card is yours, Marjorie? Tell your story, and don't be afraid to tell your story. So what I love about this card is that she has grandmother spider in her hands. And do you see the webs in her hair? What this is talking about, and she's got tears coming out of her eyes, but the tears are light. And she's holding out this spider, showing you that, oh, your hair, your curly hair. She's showing you. So the first card was know thyself, and the second card is tell your story. So to know who you are, you have got to tell your story. Grandmother Spider is the witch. Witches are weavers of magic. Grandmother Spider weaves her web of magic. We are all of the same collective web. And the more we are afraid to share our truth, you know, that's the thing about me. Whatever I'm going through on that given day, it's going to be real. There's been so many times I've gone in the coven and been like, hey, you know, like sharing stuff and like about spells and rituals and this and that and the other. And then all of a sudden one day I'm like, I'm going through it. You know, that day was yesterday. I think I told everyone I've been going through this deep dive journey. Whatever is here for me, I tell it. So I encourage you, do the same. Tell your story. Be willing to share what you're going through with others, because chances are they are going through the same thing. And it is on that level of we are actually all experiencing the same thread in a different way, helps unite us. It brings us together. So to know yourself better, you have to be willing to share what is going on. And it doesn't mean you have to go out there and do a live and share it with the world. But like if you're part of my coven or you have a close friend that you trust, talk about your short story and realize that through the evolution of your story, through the weaving of that web, that is how you know yourself. That is how you know yourself best, is when you realize that you are Grandmother Spider and you stop fearing the spider. You stop fearing the web. You are Grandmother Spider if you are a witch. You are Grandmother Spider if you are living on this planet. Lauren has chills. Remember your innocence. Woo! Card just went flying right out of my hands. Remember your innocence. Look at this card. So the thing is that no matter what we've been through and the horrible things we've done, when you've done shadow work, real shadow work, what you come to is your divine innocence, your inherent innocence. And that even the terrible things you have done you were born innocent. Your inner child will always carry that thread of innocence and of purity. So don't let anyone tell you that just because you're grandmother spider, you're evil. You're not evil. You're weaving the web that humanity weaves. You are perfect and beautiful and divine. And again, going back to that message we were talking about at the beginning about going to the crossroads and how Christianity has told us we have a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, and that's not the case. You will always end up where you are meant to be. Thank you, Marjorie. You will always end up where you are meant to be, no matter what road you take. You are divinely guided no matter the road you choose. Thank you, Jillian. So as you are realizing that you weaved this web of your reality, and you're learning to know that that's who you are the weaver, you are grandmother spider, that you are also divinely innocent, pure. You are still that child that lives within your heart. There is a part of your inner child that was not harmed by anything. They are your creative genius side of you that will help you weave this intricate, beautiful web of your life that will allow you to turn your pain into this work of art that is beautiful. Your pain was not meant to be this ugly darkness. It wasn't meant to be a dumpster fire. The dumpster fire is only part of the journey. The phoenix rising from the ashes of the dumpster fire and weaving that web. That is you reclaiming your divine inheritance. You reclaiming your divine innocence. Yay, someone just joined the coven. Okay, you guys, I have time for one more card. Let's see what is going to be the most beneficial for everyone on the live right now, collectively to hear. Shauna, we're so excited to have you. Make sure that because you're on the live right now, after you join the coven, make sure you go back and log into the website and make sure that the coven is showing under your programs. If it's not, go back to the sales page and click like you're going to purchase, and it will take you to the Coven library, and that's where you'll find the WhatsApp. It's also a library of classes, the astrology for the month, and a spell for each moon phase. So make sure you do that. And when you go into the WhatsApp, be sure to introduce yourself so everyone can say hi. Champion Peace. So where you're going to come at the end of this journey, at the end of this next year, is you're going to have this immense peace. So you're going to know yourself better. You're going to know yourself as innocent and divine and as powerful as Grandmother Spider. So allow the change to move through your life like a flowing river. There will be times that are going to be hard. There will be times that are hard, but you are going to end up with this pure peace. The peace that comes from knowing who you are. Do you see that butterfly at her chest? That there's 4 butterflies in there. Remember, you are the butterfly. You are the peace that surpasseth all understanding. You are that. And you can be that even as life brings you change, an opportunity for change and challenge. And challenge and change lead to growth. So be there for every step of it, and you will know yourself better. So, Irene, I feel like that's a really beautiful way to start the new year. Is just remember, tell your story. If you're in our coven, like, that's what our coven space is for. Share your story there. That is a safe space to share your story. If you're a sister that's in the coven, please go share your story and start reclaiming your entire story as yours. Remember that you are Grandmother Spider. You weaved that entire web. If you weaved that entire web to arrive here now on my live in one of my offerings in the world, you know you are as bright of a light as I am, as powerful as a witch as I am, because you have landed here with me. You are a direct mirror of me. That is why you are drawn to me. It's because everything you see I am, you are as well, because we are the one. We are one. So please share your story, claim your divine innocence as you realize that you are the weaver of your reality, and keep in mind during those hard times that you are reclaiming that peace of knowing who you are, that no one else gets to tell you who you are, and no one gets to shake you off your rocker unless you allow them to, because you are Grandmother Spider. You are the one weaving the web and nobody else. And I leave you with this last message to rest deep. Rest deep, my sisters. In yoga, there is this pose called Sleeping Swan in Yin Yoga, and it is the grace and the peace of a swan sleeping on a lake. That is what January is about. Take this time to not overdo it and to rest, to be the sleeping swan, to allow this earth to be your lake, your calm mountain lake, and you are the swan resting upon her waters. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining me every Sunday. Keep an eye out for Stella and I's Valentine's Live. If you want that last space for our retreat, we only have one left, so you only have so long to stay on the fence before it's going to be gone. I love you to all my coven sisters, to all my moderators, for Marjorie and Astrid and Abigail and Sarah and Kelly. And I'm sorry if I missed anyone else. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you, Eclectic Witch. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I love you all so much. And especially Marjorie. Like, Marjorie, I can't thank you enough, my beautiful sister. And to all my coven sisters. But Marjorie is truly a priestess who is in service to me and my mission. And it's our mission. You know, Marjorie, my mission is your mission. It's our mission. So I love you, and I thank you for being here. And I thank you for all my coven sisters. Shauna, thank you for being here. Thank you for all who gifted. And I'll see you next week at 10 a.m. on Sunday. I will be going live one day this week, thinking probably Friday. So keep an eye out for that, you guys. I love you so much. Have a happy Sunday. I'll see you next week. Blessed be. Thank you, Lauren.